Al-Qaeda and straighten up things over there. And there here's 5 stones, just like God did with David. He only had 5. Go ahead, God bless you, and we'd all clap and send him away, and give us a beef jerky or whatever, pig's ear to chew on, whatever it might be. And the way he goes, well, I mean, that was Moses and parting the Red Sea and all the things. Now, we know God did it through him, but he was the instrument that God did it with. And, a lot of times we forget that Moses was not any different than you or I. I mean, he was just a man. He got up some days and oh, my back is hurting, my elbow, my shoulder, I mean, he had the same kind of problems that you and I do. My head, my stomach's bothering me today. My feet are bothering me. And God says, go. Hey, it wasn't Moses, it was the God of Moses. And the God of Moses didn't die when Moses died. And let me tell you this, the God of Moses didn't die. The God of Joshua didn't die when Joshua died. Joshua said, hey, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. But he went on. But I can imagine that Joshua now, Moses says, Joshua, I've got some really bad news. And Joshua thought, oh, no. What's Moses going to say? I'm going to replace you, and I've got somebody to take your place, and we still have work for you to do. I'm going to, somebody, younger than you or whatever it may be. And he said, well, what is it, sir? Whatever you say, I'm here. I stand with you and behind you. And that's how we ought to be. Listen, you're not always going to agree with, Brother Whitmer. You're not going to always agree with everything. My goodness, you can't even agree with yourself sometimes. And don't feel out of, well, I don't agree. I think it ought to be this way, and I think it ought to be that way. Well, if it's your decision to make, go ahead and make your own decision. But if it isn't, say, okay, this is the man of God. I'm going to follow the man of God. I'm going to let him be the man of God, and I'm going to be this, he's the shepherd, and I'm going to be one of the sheep that's going to follow the shepherd. Sheep aren't to tell the shepherd what, they're to do. They're supposed to follow the shepherd. And so Moses says, Joshua, what it is, he said, it's the end of my ministry. It's time for me to retire. What? Well, who's going to be in charge? You are. There's only me. There's only me. I remember going visiting with my wife's uncle after I got saved, and I said, boy, it would be wonderful to hear these guys stand up and testify in the prayer service. Oh, we led somebody to the Lord or Sunday night. This person got saved. And I said, gee, that must be wonderful. And she said, well, why don't you go out on visitation? Hey, it's on whatever night it was of the week. Why don't you just go? And so I said, I'll go. And lo and behold, the preacher said, well, you're going to go with Henry Jensen, Mr. Jensen. He's going to go with you. And I thought, boy, here's a guy that's been saved for 500 years. He wasn't saved that long, but, he had been saved for a long time. He knows what to do. And so we went, and he went, not to some dinky shack type of a place, but, he went to one of the nicest homes I'd ever seen. He walked up to that door, and he went. I thought, my goodness, the way that he knocked on the door, the guy's going to come out and say, hey, I'm going to charge you for denting my door. It seemed to me like the windows were rattling. He hit that thing so hard 8 or 10 times. And a guy came to the door, and he said, hi, I'm Henry Jensen from Maranatha Baptist Church, and this is Eddie Lasko, and he wants to talk to you. I thought, what did you say? Only the Lord knows that. I have no idea. I don't remember anything from the time he said, Eddie Lasko wants to talk to you about the Lord. I don't have the faintest, foggiest thing. What did I say? How did we ever leave that house? I don't know. But you're to take over, Joshua. What? I'm going to die. God says, go up to the mountain, and that's it. So I'm equipping. We look around and we see other people and we say, boy, they ought to teach a class. Hey, is there a class that needs taught? And you see that there's a need? Well, you ought to be the first one to volunteer yourself, not somebody else. Isn't that easy? And I've been in that boat for a number of years where I was willing to volunteer someone else. I remember going out visiting with a guy, and he said to me, he said, Brother Lasko, I think God may be calling. Have you ever thought about going into the ministry? And when I got home, I told my wife, hey, you know what Sonny said? He said, that Lord ever, and you know what I thought? I told my wife, I said, you know what I thought? I thought, hey, you've been saved for a long time. I think you'd make a good candidate for a ministry. Do you ever notice how everybody else thinks like they'd be a real good candidate for some job? If God lays a burden on your heart, one of the things that the people that know me in the ministry know, don't come to Brother Lasco and say, hey, Pastor, what do you think about doing this? Because I say, well, what do you mean? And I hear it through, and I say, it's a wonderful idea. When are you going to start? That wasn't what I had in mind, Pastor Lasco. I was just telling you this would be a good ministry. Well, if the Lord brought it to your mind, I think you ought to do it. And why don't we sit down and see if we can't work this thing out and help you? I'll help you get started. Well, that wasn't really what I was. Let me pray about it. Okay. Well, hey, if God gives something to you, some ministry, it's probably because in some way you're to be involved in that ministry. And we need to be, okay, God, I'm willing to do. So we can, and I'm sure Joshua, how in the world am I ever going to, I couldn't even move his shoes. I couldn't even move the front end of the toe of one of his shoes with all of my might. How in the world am I going to put his shoes on and be able to fill Moses' shoes? Guess what? He wasn't to fill Moses' shoes. Guess whose shoes he was to fill? Joshua's shoes. Guess whose shoes you're to fill? Your shoes. And you need to say, God, these shoes, I'm going to use them for your glory. These hands I'm going to use for your glory. These eyes, my ears, I'm going to keep them clean, God. I'm going to keep them holy. I'm going to keep them pure. I'm going to try to be what you want me to be. I'm going to use these hands to carry this book, and these eyes to read it, this mind to think of what it says, and I'm going to do what you want me to do. God, I'm going to go in the right way. Well, undoubtedly there was comparison. Not only that, but there was a commandment involved in this thing. Moses died. God says, now Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise. What's the next word? Go. That is a commandment. Here's what you're to do. And we were reminded of the words of the Lord Jesus. Go ye into all the world. You know, the devil, but you're going to run into people and they're going to say bad things about you. Hey, said David, if they've done this to the master, and I am your master, don't be surprised if they do it to you. Sure, some people are going, but you know what? Some people are going to love you as they've never loved anybody before, because you brought them to faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. You were a tool, and they came to faith because of a tract that you gave them, just like my mother. A tract that you got on your knees if you're able, and you prayed and said, God, bless these tracts and help me today. And we need to, hey, listen, they that sow, S-O-W, not S-E-W, but plant, they that plant. You know, we're to be planting, and we ought to pray, God, help me. Where's the tract rack? Where do you have your tracts? All right. Where's the tract rack? Let's point at it together. Okay, over there. As we go out, now I think I am low on ammunition. I think I only have I have two left. Two left in my pocket. I have two tracts left. But get some tracts out there, put them in your pocket, and get on your knees and pray over them. Say, God, help me Monday, tomorrow. Help me if I live till tomorrow. God, help me to give these to someone that is going to be helped, enriched, and blessed. I went through McDonald's, and I saw a couple of tracts in the Ronald McDonald. Now, I don't know how good that was, and I sort of question, if you staple $1 to your tract and put it in Ronald McDonald, I think they would accept that. But I sort of wondered, gee, what are they going to think if I go through Ronald McDonald and I put a tract in, nothing else? And if I put a $50 bill in, they don't know it's, boy, what a hypocrite he is. So if I put a $50 bill in it, my wife will take that $50 bill off, say, put a $1 bill on it and put it in the Ronald McDonald house, give it to the house of the Lord and missionary, things like that. But take some of these and use them. Go ye into all the world. God, help us. Help me. Oh, what a goal. Here's the 2/3 of the year is going to end when? Tomorrow. There's 2/3 of 2009 are going to be gone, but there's the